Hello and welcome to a very interesting conversation on micronutrients that play a very crucial role in ensuring optimum health in today's times. Deficiencies of important vitamins and minerals pose a challenge in gaining optimum health. The topic for today's discussion is India's micronutrient challenge, nourishing the nation for a healthy future. According to research, more than 2 billion people around the world are unable to meet their dietary requirements from their food, especially in developing countries and underdeveloped countries. It affects every age group, be it toddlers, schoolgoers, teenagers, mothers, females, males, and especially senior citizens. In India, malnutrition is often seen from the lens of calorie intake, while deficiencies in essentials, vitamins, and micronutrients remain largely overlooked. These deficiencies are known as micronutrient malnutrition that can lead to various health issues like weaker immunity, weaker bones, and also mental health and chronic diseases. Vitamins and micronutrients like vitamin D, E, ALA, B complex, calcium, and biotin play a crucial role in maintaining overall health and preventing diseases. The idea of this discussion is to educate the public on the importance of these essential nutrients, their role in our daily diets, and why the micronutrients should be consumed in the right quantities to ensure long term benefits. I have a very qualified and well known panel of healthcare experts to take key questions on how these nutrients impact our health, particularly in the Indian context. I'm joined by Ms. Beena Chera, registered dietitian, certified diabetes, sports cancer nutritionist at Beena Chera's Amrut Center, Holistic Health, Nutrition, Lifestyle, Mumbai. Welcome to the show, Beena.
Hello. Hello.
Hi. I'm also joined by Ms. Delnath Chanduvadia. She's MSc Clinical Nutrition and Dietetics, certified sports and ecologist, nutritionist, and nutrigenomics counselor at Decode Mumbai. I also have on the panel Ms. Cheryl S. Salas. She's a registered dietitian, certified diabetes educator, founder and director, Nurture Health Solutions, Mumbai. I welcome all the three panelists to the show, and I would like to begin with Ms. Beena. Why is a balanced diet a far-fetched dream in a country like India? Your thoughts on that?
Okay, very interesting question. See, there are lots of regional availabilities, regional non-availabilities. Also, for example, if you go down south, you'll get a lot of rice, you'll get a lot of coconut. So obviously, the other food groups are, compromised. Up north, you will see wheat as a major food group. There are some places where sugarcane is grown in plenty. So what happens is then lots of consumption of sugar, jaggery, and all that. So it imbalances the food groups which are there. Most importantly, people also do not know what are the food groups, what are the functions, what are the sources of it. To top it all, there are many places also wherein there are social media influencers. Now they will advocate a food group very highly, or they will totally eliminate the food group. So again, that imbalance comes even amongst educated professionals. What happens is they will, just for a few likes or reaches, they will advocate certain ingredients in their recipes, for example, which are clinically proven to be harmful, but just for the reach. So what happens is, unfortunately, also the social media is unregulated. The laws are not so strict. Even the laws for nutrition labelings, food labels, are not so strict, and people are not even aware how to read a label. So a lot of disparity will come over there. Also, what happens is people are in a very highly stressful, competitive jobs, long working hours. They do not have time to prepare the food. What they will probably carry is a roti and a sabzi. So obviously, the protein food group is minus from the entire balanced plate. It is difficult for everyone unless they are guided by qualified healthcare professionals. It is difficult for them to really have a balanced diet. Many factors like regional availability, socio-economic, and in certain places, what happens is because of the socio-economic conditions, only carbohydrates and only fats. These are the major sources of energy. So again, proteins are sidelined.
Right. Well said, because a lot of people are not conscious of what kind of food they are taking. Does it meet the requirements or not? For the next question, I'd like to go to Delnaz. Delnaz, why do we need supplements? Why the nutrition needs are not met through our daily diet?
So what I feel is that in modern lifestyle, where with a balanced diet, it can be challenging to meet all nutrients because of many factors. One is poor absorption, soil depletion, dietary restrictions. So I'm just going to touch upon each point a little bit in detail. So the first point being lifestyle. We're all trying to ape the West and moving towards processed and ultra processed foods. These ultra processed foods are basically stripping your basic meals out of all vitamins and minerals. Also, the kind of work culture, we're always sitting in AC, we don't have enough sunlight exposure. So simple example like vitamin D is not enough because of this sort of a lifestyle. Next, we move to cooking methods. We're so used to bhunawing our food so much, high heat, etc. So most vitamins which are heat labile or sensitive to heat, like vitamin B's, vitamin C, omega 3s, they're all sensitive to heat, and we don't get that sort of vitamin because of the way we choose to cook our food. Soil depletion, I think the main factor here is overpopulation. A piece of land that used to give us food for X population has now to give us food for 10x the population. So this constant crop cycle or the excessive crop cycle is stripping the soil of the nutrients and vitamins that it would give you otherwise. So a simple example would be in the past 20 years in the back, it would be one orange would be enough to suffice your vitamin C requirement. But however, that doesn't work in the present day. Last point, genetic modification. We're modifying foods again for overpopulating the country. So though we are matching the quantum, we're not sure if we're going to match the nutrient requirements. Most of us have health concerns, be it we're following some sort of a diet, or be it old age, be it not able to choose some sort of illness, where the food has got to be made in a way that is easy for the person or the patient to consume. So on a fat loss diet, etc., you're going to go on a calorie deficit diet. It's got to be well planned, but the requirements of vitamins still remains the same or maybe increases. And like we spoke about special populations, so people who are ill, kids, athletes, all of them have special requirements. And in order to bridge the gap, I think supplements would play an important role.
Right. And for the next question, taking this forward, I'd like to go to Cheryl. Cheryl, supplements are important, as Delnaz just said. What is your opinion on the quantities of vitamins and micronutrients that we must include in our diet?
Yeah, thank you, Richa, for that question. And like we say that it's very important to have a balance. This is the most important thing, which most of us, forget. We either go excess or we go, absolutely like deficient. So both deficiency and excess both can, pose a challenge. We know that every nutrient, whether it's a micronutrient or a macronutrient, and it's very specific for every individual. Okay, so we have to take it in optimum levels because deficiencies can definitely result in conditions. For example, if you have a vitamin C deficiency, it can result in scurvy. If you have a niacin deficiency, it can result in pellagra. If it's a vitamin D deficiency, it can result in your brittle bones and osteoporosis in the future. So everything, if it's taken in lesser amounts than what is required, it is going to cause problems maybe now or even in the future. So this is something that we have to look at. And given today's scenario where people are falling prey to a lot of, kind of fad diets, or even due to poverty, are not able to meet their nutrient requirements, because we have a very a population which is very diverse in the sense of even the socioeconomic status. Some people can, afford everything, exotic foods and everything, whereas some people can't even afford 2 square meals. And then knowing that out of what is available, how do I make the best out of it? That's the first thing. Secondly, like Delna said, that, cooking, etc. A lot of factors, the whole concept from farm to fork, today it's from forest to fork. There is nutrient losses that happen as we keep, whether it's even from the time we buy the food to store the food, to wash the food, to cook the food, there are nutrient losses that happen. So there is deficiencies that could arise. And therefore, it's very important to consult somebody who's qualified, who will tell you, what are the deficiencies. There are other things also which could cause deficiencies. For example, if somebody is on a long-term use of certain drugs, certain laxative, antacids, which people keep popping in, diuretics, people don't realize, but all this can result in nutrient deficiencies, which is going to cause problems. That's one part. So where to, how much to take, when to stop taking those supplements is important. And how can I meet it through a balanced diet and keep that maintenance, dose? These are things I think which people need to realize. So, just to summarize it, like deficiencies definitely can cause health issues, but we don't realize that excess also can cause health issues. So therefore, we have to know that, okay, if the doctor has told me to take a supplement for this course of time, I should take it for that much time and then stop taking it, because it will have its own
Right.
ill effects.
Right. As you rightly said, excess of everything is bad, and vitamin D has already come into the picture, into our discussion. I want to go back to Veena again. Veena, how does vitamin D impact health, especially in Indian context?
Interesting again. Vitamin D is a hormone. It's a fat soluble vitamin. It's known as a sunshine hormone, right? Now, when we call it as a sunshine hormone, and when we are speaking so much about mental health issues nowadays, so what happens is, as rightly Cheryl has already mentioned it, people, whenever they feel low or anything, they will ad hoc empirically start vitamin D supplementation. Now, this empirical supplementation of vitamin D is really harmful. It can lead to toxicity, fatal conditions also, as again Cheryl has already mentioned. So here a healthcare professional is very important. Also, vitamin D is involved in calcium metabolism. Now, major sources of calcium are also proteins. India predominantly is not so high or not so adequate in proteins. So when your protein intake is less, even your calcium intakes are less. Then also what happens is we have very less exposure to sunlight. We have comfort travels. We have people recommending sunscreens. So all these things, what happens is they hamper or inhibit the absorption of vitamin D from the sun, right? Um, One way we speak of toxicity, the other way we also speak of fat diets, or that that pursuit of weight loss, and people may go on a fat diet to lose weight by not consuming adequate amount of fats. So now, vitamin D being a fat soluble vitamin, if we do not have an adequate fat medium, then this vitamin D will not be absorbed. So how much ever you supply vitamin D, it is not going to be absorbed. And again, the problem of proteins is already there in our nation. So even if you say a person consumes non-veg, if you see the average non-vegetarian population is very less, the average daily consumption of non-veg is also very less, and then coupled with festive seasons, for example. So there again the proteins are compromised. Mushrooms are a good source of vitamin D for vegetarians, but then still there are myths in vegetarian population also that mushroom cannot be consumed in a vegetarian diet. So vegetarian diets are predominantly deficient in vitamin D.
What is the prevalence of calcium deficiency in India? Delnaz, I want to come to you on this. And how can, calcium supplementation help in relation to vitamin D in India?
So calcium deficiency is quite widespread in India, and studies would estimate that around 50 to 70% of the population, specifically your special groups, that is women, children, elderly, one is they have inadequate calcium intake. So like ma'am said, Beena ma'am said that most calcium foods are protein-rich foods. So that is where the lag comes in. We're not having enough calcium. The deficiencies also, one is not enough intake, and two is poor absorption. One is because of lifestyle conditions that we have. As ma'am said, we are always in the AC, comfort, travel, etc. Lower dairy intake, because most of us are either going on a lactose free diet, etc., where we're not eating correct and enough calcium, and the absorption. So vitamin D again plays a crucial role in the absorption and enhancement of calcium absorption, and that happens in the intestines. So without vitamin D, even if you're taking enough calcium, we're not absorbing it. The body cannot absorb it efficiently, which finally leads to brittle bones and the increased risk of osteoporosis and fractures. So it's important that we do calcium supplementation. Again, there are different types of calcium supplements depending on the kind of health issues that you would have. Your healthcare practitioner will give you like either a carbonate or a citrate, depending on the health issues that you have, to allow for maximum absorption. So it's important that the supplementation comes from a doctor or a dietitian who is well aware after a blood work is done.
Right. I touched upon the ALAs earlier in the intro when we started off. So I want to talk about this with Cheryl. Cheryl, what are these ALAs and how does it impact or affect our health?
ALA is alpha lipoic acid. It's a very powerful antioxidant, not really spoken about too much. It's also called a universal antioxidant. It is produced by the body, and the most important role is also that it helps in regeneration of other antioxidants like glutathione, vitamin C, vitamin E. And it definitely, because it's a very good antioxidant, it will definitely help to reduce oxidative stress and reduce inflammation. It helps in prevention of dementia, Alzheimer's, which we see a lot today, and very good to improve insulin sensitivity. So for people with diabetes, it will help to reduce the insulin resistance and also prevent any kind of nerve damage. So again, in people with diabetes, good for people with diabetes neuropathy, or anybody who's having nerve issues. So it has a good role to play in terms of, in the diet. We do get it in, in animal foods or in certain foods such as broccoli, spinach, tomatoes, etc. But however, if there is, an additional need of it, then definitely, supplementation is something that we would look at.
Okay. After the ALAs, let's talk about the B-complex vitamins, which are also very crucial for nutrition. Dina, I want to come back to you on this. How do B-complex vitamins play an important role in our health?
Okay, B-complex vitamins are a range of B-complex vitamins, right from B1, that is your thiamine, then we have riboflavin, B2, we have biotin, which is B7, we have folic acid, which is B9. So, and B12 is your cobalamin. So if you speak about B1, B1 is thiamine, which is a cofactor in your energy utilization. So if you are deficient in B1, that is, if you are deficient in thiamine, then you will not be able to utilize the energy from the food that you are consuming. So there'll be a lot of fatigue. Also, in today's generation, consumption of alcohol is very much normalized. So you see alcohol consumption is very rampant, and what happens is that with alcohol consumption, the activation of the B1 does not happen, and you get a brain fog kind of a thing. So when you have a brain fog kind of a thing, then you take longer time to complete your perceived task, leaving very little time for exercise. So when you are not able to exercise, and also because you are already deficient in thiamine, so you are already fatigued. So fatigue plus lack of time, you will not exercise, so you will not lose fat, obesity, all that will set in, and also you'll have a deranged metabolic profile. Now coming to B2, that is your riboflavin. We have a lot of, as you said earlier, lack of time or lack of awareness, or no increased consumption of junk food because of the social media presence and all that. So what happens is, if your diet is inadequate in B2, that is your riboflavin, then you lead to mouth ulcers. It leads to mouth ulcers. So again, your food is compromised. Food is compromised, and you may feel like consuming food which are easily gulpable, which are not nutrient dense, but they are calorie dense. So again, the deficiency starts seeping in further. Then you have biotin. Biotin is, we all know, it's a very popular nowadays for your hair, your nails, your skin and all that. So, but again, we are living in a highly polluted environment, high stress environments, junk food consumption, inadequate balanced diet. So biotin deficiency is bound to happen. That leads to stress. Stress will further increase the hair fall, and a person falls into the vicious cycle. Now, because of the stress, what importantly we have to also understand is your cortisol level increases. higher the cortisol level, lower is the insulin levels. So the utilization of glucose reduces, fat deposition increases, obesity sets in, and your metabolic profile will be deranged, right? Then we also have this B12. Now, B12 and even folic acid. Now, folic acid and B12 are components of hemoglobin molecule. So, if you are deficient in the folic acid and vitamin B12, hemoglobin molecule will not be developed properly. So, your oxygen carrying capacity reduces, your exercise capacity, your capacity to do exercise reduces. So again, you are not losing fat, you are losing muscle mass, you are gaining fat, again obesity, again a deranged metabolic profile. Now, even the food items which are there, like for example, B12 and all that, they are available only from your non-vegetarian food items, the animal sources. Even in the vegetarian population, we've already spoken about the non-veg eating population, which is less, which is also because of the season, the festive season, the consumption may be low, but also people want everything shining, shining. So the grains have to be more shining, shining. So now when they are shining, how does it shine? It is shined by milling it more. So when you're milling the grains more, you are removing the layer of the B complex vitamins. Then people also want every vegetable to be shining green. They want their certain recipes to be soft and fluffy. So they add soda. As it is, along with alcohol, carbonated beverage consumption has also increased. So soda bicarbonate consumption is on a high. So what happens is this soda consumption, soda bicarb, it incapacitates the B complex vitamins. So when it is incapacitating the B complex vitamins, all your energy utilization, your hemoglobin production, everything becomes low. So fatigue sets in, brain fog sets in, inability to exercise, inability to lose weight, more lethargy, more melancholy. So all other nutrient deficiencies, whether it is a vitamin deficiency or your mineral deficiencies, all these deficiencies will come in. You are not at your optimal metabolic health. So today's date, it is very important to focus on metabolic health rather than weight as such.
I think
So
very interesting points here. You talked about biotin, and I want to talk more about this. So I'll go to Delnaz. Delnaz, tell me more about biotin. How does it impact our skin, our hair, our nail health? What can we do to improve?
So biotin again comes from the B complex family. It's also known as vitamin B7. Most important for healthy skin, hair, nails, etc. And a lack of biotin can obviously lead to brittle nails, hair thinning, skin rashes, etc. It's important to understand that if you have a balanced diet, because your requirement for biotin through the day is only 30 micrograms. So if you're eating a balanced diet, especially that which is rich with non-veg like fish, meat, organ meat, nuts, seeds, etc., if these are incorporated in your daily nutrition, then you would get enough biotin. However, nowadays people see thinning hair, brittle nails, and they all want to pop in a biotin very easily. But it doesn't work like that, because hair thinning, brittle nails, etc., can happen with other conditions like a thyroid issue, etc. So just by popping biotin, I don't think we can just fix these issues.
Right. I want to move from vitamin B complex to vitamin E. And Cheryl, your thoughts on how does vitamin E affect our heart or cardiovascular health?
Again, if you look at vitamin E, it is a very powerful antioxidant, okay, and it's very, very essential in the optimum levels. And because it's a powerful antioxidant, it will actually protect the cells from oxidative stress. And we all, in our day-to-day life, because of the kind of food we eat, the environment, the pollution, the stress, everything, there's so much of chaos that is happening in the body. So there are a lot of free radicals which are being produced. And then to, counteract this, you need to have foods which are going to reduce the amount of free radicals. Okay. And that is what we say is basically protecting the cells from oxidative stress, so that we actually help to, it's looking at overall health. So one, like Veena said, where we are looking at just eating foods for weight loss or to look good, etc., we have to look at whether this food is actually going to protect every cell of my body. and whether it's feeding disease or it is protecting me from disease. And therefore, vitamin E again becomes a very potent, antioxidant nutrient because it helps to protect ourselves from oxidative stress. So therefore, it prevents your atherosclerosis by preventing the oxidation of the bad cholesterol. Now, even in our body, there are different types of cholesterol. So when you do a cholesterol report, it'll tell you LDL cholesterol, the HDL cholesterol, the VLDL, and then it'll give you ratios, there's triglycerides, etc. When you're looking at your lipid profile. The LDL cholesterol is the bad cholesterol, whereas HDL cholesterol is the good cholesterol. So you want to keep the LDL cholesterol in check. One, of course, is through the diet. Second, of course, is exercise. But also, providing it with essential antioxidant nutrients, which will help in reducing the oxidation of LDL cholesterol. So once we do that, we are actually protecting our heart. And that's how vitamin E will be an essential nutrient to protect the heart
Okay.
and confer its cardiovascular, protection.
Very well point. Veena, in today's times, we are facing a lot of lifestyle diseases. How can micronutrients help tackle these lifestyle diseases? If your thoughts on importance of micronutrients today?
Great. Lot of micronutrients which we are ignoring. Like for example, zinc. No, as Del already said, the soil is depleting. The composition of the soil is depleting. Now, zinc, when we speak, it is required for growth and reproduction. It is required for immunity. It is required for your vision, your taste, the smell. It's also required for your thyroid function, your insulin sensitivities. So there are many sources of zinc. But most importantly, suppose oysters. Again, the veg, non-veg thing will come in. So oysters, yes, non-vegetarian people will eat, but how frequently? Then there are chia seeds, pumpkin seeds, which are very famous now, right? How much will you eat? They are also calorie dense. The nuts, they are also calorie dense. So again, going on for a weight loss diet, you will limit your nut intake because that myth is already there in people's mind that these nuts are high in calorie, you should not eat too much, right? So predominantly we are a grain consuming population. Now grains come with their own problem of phytates. Phytates negatively hamper the absorption of zinc. So if you are on a high grain, because nowadays you say, okay, you should have enough fiber, you should not be milling your, you should not be having very polished grains. So people switch on to whole grains. Now whole grains will come with their own problem of phytates, which will hamper their zinc absorption, right? Then there is also selenium. Selenium is very popular again because of the thyroid metabolism role. Brazil nuts have become very popular because of that. It is said that one Brazil nut can meet your daily requirement of selenium. But again, the cost factor will come in. Now, if your thyroid function is sluggish, so that means you won't be able to exercise properly, you won't be able to lose fat, obesity will set in, and again, a deranged metabolic profile. We are speaking a lot of, and we are seeing actually a lot of mental health issues. Stress is very high, probably an all-time high. Magnesium plays a very important role in calming your nerves. So if you're deficient in magnesium, your nerves, you will be more prone to anxiety, stress, your cortisol buildup will happen, insulin will go low, and the entire deranged metabolic profile of whether it is your blood sugars, whether it is your lipids, everything. And very a few people also know the role of magnesium in bone health. So it is a very important component for in the bone matrix itself. Magnesium is an important component, and so is boron. People would not think of boron as a component, but boron is an important component. Because when we speak of bone, it is only calcium, it is only proteins. No one will think of magnesium, no one will think of boron, no one will think of vitamin K27. These are required in micro quantities, but are very important. Now, if your bone health is not proper, you don't have strong bones, you won't be able to exercise proper. If you're not able to exercise proper, then again, you will be on a downtrail. Then also, I would like to emphasize more on iodine. No, we say iodized salt is important. A lot of fad diets are coming in. People are also promoting various colorful salts. Now, these colorful salt, the pink salt, this Himalayan salt, XYZ salts, what happens is these may not be iodized. So, if they are not iodized, then you will not meet your iodine requirement. Your thyroid metabolism will go low. And you know that thyroid hormone is the prime minister hormone of the body. If your thyroid hormone is not functioning properly, all the other hormones will also become sluggish, right? So also then we speak of iron deficiency anemias. Iron is also one of the nutrients. Iron by itself, it's of two types, the heme iron and the non-heme iron. Heme iron is available in the non-veg food. The non-heme iron is available in the plant sources. So instead of non-veg, we will say like the heme iron is the animal sources and the non-heme iron is the plant sources. Now, heme iron does not require any aid for its absorption. But again, we've said plenty number of times that the consumption per se is less. Now, with regards to the non-heme iron, what happens is the quantity is very less. The quantity of iron in the non-heme iron sources, the plant sources, is very less. The bioavailability is further less. To that, also we have a habit, no? We are on continuous meetings, you're so bogged down and you want to refresh yourself, and immediately after a meal, lunches have become late, meal timings have become late. But that 2:30, 3 o'clock, your tea time clock will start ticking. So what happens is you start consuming tea immediately after your meals. So the tannins, the theobromines in the tea coffee, they will inhibit the absorption. There are ways to enhance the absorption of iron also. Like suppose you say vitamin C. So the easiest thing is to squeeze a little lemon or something. Now, again, by hearsay, people have heard excess vitamin C or lime consumption, the sourness, that will lead to joint pains. So because of hearsay, also people don't consume the vitamin C, the lime. So vitamin C is not there, and therefore what happens is you may think of many sources of iron-rich foods, but if they are the non-heme iron sources, they require a push, an aid to enhance its absorption. Otherwise, it is merely going to pile in calories, nothing else.
Just to add to this point is also calcium and iron.
Yes.
You have certain foods which are friends in the sense nutrients. So there is nutrient interaction also. So certain nutrients will help in the absorption of certain other nutrients, whereas some nutrients will hinder the absorption of certain nutrients. And therefore, very important again is, people should not take calcium and iron together because both are fighting for absorption. And therefore, the absorption is going to be hindered. So therefore, even if they are on supplements, they should make sure that they take iron and calcium separately. There's so much to cover. Like again, what Beena spoke about magnesium, we only talk about vitamin D and calcium because we know the calcium build up. But very important is if you want to balance out that calcium, you have to take magnesium as well because that will help in the balance and then overall it will give you the health benefits. Of course, your K27, boron, but even magnesium to help prevent that buildup of calcium that will happen because of excess vitamin. So there's a lot of interplay of different nutrients, so, and that is where you will understand the difference between somebody who's a qualified, nutritionist, because she's going to take all these factors. Somebody who's going to be a quack, so to say, will just write something without even realizing what can the excess also do or what can the deficiency do, which nutrients are going to support other nutrient absorptions, which nutrients are going to actually hinder the absorption. So
And
all
also
this
what
people
one
need to
needs and
realize.
at what stage. I mean, that is also crucial.
Absolutely. I mean, every stage of life, and especially when we're looking at women health, we're celebrating the National Nutrition Month this month of
Yes.
September, and there's so much of focus on anemia, on women health, etc., etc. But everybody's needs at every stage and phase of life is so different, which
Definitely.
people don't understand. It's not a one size fits all. It's definitely has to be tailor made, customized, and only then prescribed.
And when it comes to prescription, I want to go to Delnaz for the last question. Delnaz, as we've seen through the discussion, our dietary needs are not enough to meet our nutrition needs. So how can the supplements and micronutrients come in as an add-on to our daily diet to ensure that nutrition that we need?
So I think everybody said a lot, and I'm just going to tie it down together. So nutritional and micronutrient supplements obviously are a value addition to a balanced diet. So as it says, it's a supplement, it's an aid. It cannot be made the base. Okay, so your base is going to be a balanced diet. However, because we are following so many diet restrictions, lifestyle factors, health conditions, etc., we may not be able to meet it through food. That's where the supplements come in. While whole foods obviously are most important. So as Beena ma'am was saying, we're consuming so much refined, not just refined as in maida, but so much milled cereals, milled pulses, where the goodness, the brand which is actually there in the outer coating is lost. Okay, so I think we need to go back to the village lifestyle where they actually eat the real grain rather than the polished, shining grain. That's how, in all these conditions, there is a gap. We're not meeting our vitamins and minerals requirements. So I would feel that vitamin D, B12, calcium, omega-3 fatty acids are the ones that are most lacking at present. For example, in India, you will see vitamin D, calcium, iron being most common. Supplementation is required, but as Cheryl ma'am said, that you need to have it. One is do the blood work so that you're not going overboard. Two is has to be checked by a qualified medical healthcare professional, especially a nutritionist who understands that. Once you do that, she's going to allow you supplementation after giving you a balanced diet if she feels that there is a gap, and she's going to space it out in a way that there is no interaction, be it a food interaction as a nutrient or nutrient drug interaction. So there are a lot of nutrient drug interactions which fly by night nutritionists will not understand. Okay, because this is a lot of in-depth study over a period of time and a lot of clinical study. So the takeaways here are to do blood work, to space it out, to have it read by a qualified person. And this surely does help to bridge the gap because we also have special populations. So, like the pregnant women, the elderly population, and the toddlers. So, our toddler food also nowadays, if you are not mindful about what you're giving them, they're not giving. Honestly, the requirement of a 4-year-old or a 7-year-old, rather, 7-year-old is just 20 grams of protein in the day. It's really easy to meet it if you mindfully plan their diet. But most of us, because we're not so mindful about what we're feeding the kids, we're possibly not meeting that much also. So, hence, it's very important to be mindful, meet a qualified person, and do your blood work before you supplement.
I just want to add one more point, Rich.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, I'm just budging in, but fiber, that's another, like especially for people who are on ketogenic diets, for weight loss. Ketogenic diet in epilepsy, we all know, but what happens is they make those rotis which are got a lot of, that's made with coconut flour, almond flour, then they'll add flaxseed, they'll add psyllium husk,
All the
and then they'll add even
multiple
bran to it, So there's so much of fiber that is added, and people think fiber is great. While fiber is good, but again, in excess, fiber can also hinder nutrient absorption.
By binding to it.
Yeah, by binding to the nutrients, and people don't realize it. And therefore, we see, anemia in these people. We do see, and in practice, one is what you learn in theory, but in clinical practice, we really see that, what it can do, because we've seen people who go on these diets, automatically we see their hemoglobin levels going down. And then they wonder why. It is because of excess fiber that they're consuming through the diet.
And it's
So
also funny because they consume heme iron.
absolutely. Another thing is millets. Today we've gone gung-ho about millets because, we celebrated the International Year of the Millets last year, and everybody has replaced all their grains with millets. But again, when it comes to millets, how do you, you have to soak the millets. You have to cook it in a certain way. Fermentation, germination, malting, all these will make, like Beena said, the anti-nutrients, because millets do have certain anti-nutritional properties which need to be destroyed. Certain millets have goitrogens. Now, the cooking process, the soaking, etc., will reduce these anti-nutritional properties, but nobody talks about it because we don't have time. So who's got time to soak? You just put everything together. But honestly, what you're going to do is not really get the nutrients. So what is the point of doing something which could be a very elaborate, exotic recipe, but
right.
provide very, very minimal nutritional value?
add one more thing.
Extremely.
One more thing I wanted to add. Just one more very important thing.
Yes, please.
Today, nowadays, people are lot into this kada, that kada, ajwain and soft in the morning and all that. They don't realize that if they are supposed taking any thyroid medicines have to be taken on an empty stomach.
Yes.
They don't consider these kadas, this ajwain or soft or anything as any nutrients. It is just water. But they don't realize that these also nutrients, these small so-called things will also interfere with the absorption of the thyroid medicine. Right? Then they want to take their medicines for your vitamin D, calcium and all that. So they will have it after their breakfast. So now we have to understand that just prior to the thyroid medicine, nothing should go in on an empty stomach first thing in the morning. And the other nutrients, any supplementations that you are consuming, should be spaced out at the gap of 4 hours. Then only you will not allow the drug-drug interaction, like how Cheryl mentioned that. There are a lot of drug-nutrient interactions also. The first thing which I said about the kadas and all that, that with the thyroid hormone, that's a drug-nutrient interaction. And the thyroid hormone and the calcium or the vitamin D supplementation, that is the drug-drug interaction. So one has to be very mindful, and that's why precisely like all three of us have said, consultation with a professionally qualified healthcare professional is important, not just the fly-by-night wala thing which Delna said.
I must say that this is a very, very interesting conversation which can go on and on, but we have time constraint, and it's been a very enriching discussion. I'm sure our audiences would definitely be more informed and aware post this discussion. Thank you so much for sparing your precious time and sharing this very crucial knowledge on micronutrients with all of us. Thank you for being with us. Thank you so much.